This weekend I went to the cinema and saw The Drama, a new film by Norwegian filmmaker Kristoffer Borgli, following on from his previous films Sick of It, Sick of Myself, and Dream Scenario, both of which I quite liked. This is the story of a couple, Emma and Charlie, both quite well to do, living in New York, living in Boston, which looks almost exactly like New York, and getting ready for their wedding, having been together for 2 years. On a dinner, testing various wines, they and their two friends get very drunk, and they end up playing a game of naming the worst thing that you've ever done. And the maid of honor mentions that she shut a developmentally handicapped young boy in the closet of an abandoned RV, and there wound up being search parties looking for him. The best man says that once, when he and his girlfriend, a previous girlfriend, were attacked by a dog, he used her as a human shield, something that he's seemingly feels very guilty about. Even Charlie admits that as a teenager he was a bully and led to one boy having to move out of town. And then, after some cajoling and a bit more wine, Emma finally reveals what she did. And that colours the rest of the movie. That is the other character's response to what she says is the movie, which makes it very hard to talk about the film without giving away the secret of what it is. I liked the film quite a lot. I felt that it was very much a film that an American couldn't make because it needed that outsider perspective. And the fact that Charlie is an English character is important because you have, again, within the story, that outsider's perspective of this is something that's very American. This is something that the rest of the world sees as an American issue. But, and this is the last chance of the spoiler because I'm going to tell you what it is now. Emma planned and nearly carried out a mass school shooting when she was 15 years old. But her mind was changed at the last minute when there was another mass shooting in her hometown that day. And ultimately, the level of empathy and suffering shown by the community completely transformed her psychologically, and she became a very active and vocal advocate for gun control. And today is seemingly a very well-balanced and kind and compassionate person who happens to have this terrible thing that she nearly did but didn't do in her past. And obviously, as I say, that's a very American situation, particularly with the maid of honor, her cousin, having been paralyzed in a similar shooting. So she is absolutely disgusted and outraged by this, but also expresses absolutely no remorse for her torture of a developmentally handicapped child. Charlie starts to spiral. He can't reconcile the story of the girl who he's with and the girl that she was, and he has these various imagining moments of himself with Emma's younger self. And something that I like particularly is the way the film's editing cuts very abruptly. It almost cuts mid-sentence in a number of scenes because you know what's going to happen next. You just know from the tone and tenor of that fragment what the rest of the scene would be. And it trusts the audience to fill in those blanks. It touches on issues of class and of race and of the perceptions of America, the violence inherent in America, that everyone seems to have guns and guns are considered a very normal part of everyday life, when for almost every other country in the world it's seen as an aberrance and utterly baffling. I thought it was a really intriguing and thought-provoking film. It fails to come up with any easy answers, and I think that's partially, well, in a way it's a problem because I felt that Borgli never worked out how to end the story. There are imagined spots and flash forwards of maybe Emma's conducting some sort of master plan and going to carry out a mass shooting at the wedding itself. Maybe she is as much a psychopath as everyone else suspects her to be. or is she? And there is a lot that's left unanswered, and there's a lot that's left unresolved. But I feel that the actual story never comes to a proper satisfactory conclusion. And although many of the complications in the story are resolved, the central concept and the central conflict can't really reach any kind of conclusion within the strictures that Borgli has allowed himself. So although it's mostly very well written, it's very well directed. I thought Robert Pattinson as Charlie was very strong. I thought Zendaya as Emma was better than she is usually. I generally find her quite an unengaging and uncharismatic actor. And here, with a good script and a good director, she's better than she usually is. I haven't seen her series Euphoria, for which she has been hugely acclaimed, but I've never really, in her other film work, I've never seen what's so special, so magnetic about her. Here, there's maybe a slight glimmer of that. But it's a film that asks difficult questions, and it's a film that actively challenges the audience with something difficult. School shootings in the UK are non-existent. And school shootings, certainly by students, I don't recall one ever happening. Dunblane was committed by an outside person. Hungerford was not confined to a school and not committed by a school-age person either. So the idea of someone taking a gun to their school and killing their fellow students is a completely alien, completely foreign concept in the UK. So I think that the reaction here is going to be different to what it would be in the United States. But the fact the film has been a moderate financial success is very intriguing. It's asking questions, it's provoking discussion, it's making people wonder, why is this the case? As The Onion often says, whenever there is a tragedy like this, there's simply nothing to be done, says only country where this ever happens. This is a film that tries to expand on that, and although ultimately it doesn't quite work, there's enough here to make it really interesting.